There will be no sequel to the new Ghostbusters movie that came out last year. It grossed $230 million at the box office and was considered a box office bomb. Today in Old Man Kelley, I'm going to discuss that a little. Well, hello there, Old Man Kelley here. Jeff to my friends, and you can call me Jeff. I am drinking coffee this morning. So I want to talk about the new Ghostbusters movie. Considered a box office bomb. What did Wikipedia say? Considered a box office bomb due to its high budget and marketing campaign. The cost to make the film was $144 million, and then you have the cost of it. I mean, you couldn't turn the TV on without seeing some ad for Ghostbusters. Let's go back to the original Ghostbusters, will we? And I know I'm comparing different eras and but the original Ghostbusters was made for a pretty minuscule budget. I think it was $3 million. I'd have to look that up. I could be wrong. Apparently, the story goes, Dan Aykroyd wrote a script called Ghostbusters, which is going to be a futuristic script about a future where there's tons of ghost-busting agencies that all compete against each other. And he took it to Ivan Reitman, and Ivan Reitman's like, we can't do this. Let's simplify it. Let's make it in modern days, and we'll show the origins of Ghostbusters and the first case and all that kind of stuff. So without a script, he goes into Columbia Pictures and says, I want to do Ghostbusters. And to his surprise, the executives were like, well, Ivan, how much money do you need to make this film called Ghostbusters? And he said, and I couldn't be getting the amount wrong here, but I seem to remember it was $3 million. Ivan Reitman just said $3 million, and he just said he took a guess. He had no clue how much it was going to cost to make this movie because it hadn't been written yet. And the executive said, okay, we'll give you the money to make this film, but you have to have it done by next spring, which was like a year away. So he had a year. So him, Aykroyd, and Ramis got together and hammered out a script like within a week or something, crazy amount like that. And as quick as possible, they were casting and filming the movie. It was just a small project between 3 or 4 people that turned out amazing. And the special effects, even for 1984, weren't all that good. I mean, the scene where that creature leaves the apartment, Harold Ramis's apartment, the special effects in that are horrible, but no one cared. And I still don't care. And I know kids who watch that movie and don't care. Why? Because it's a good, funny movie. And that's all that matters. This new movie was in years in development. I'm sure the scripts went through a million changes with a million different people. And they used, what did I write down? 6 visual effects companies with over 1,700 visual effects. It cost a fortune. It didn't need to. Everybody wants to do the Marvel franchise thing, you know? Marvel's got this huge franchise, and that's what they wanted for Ghostbusters. So they're like, Marvel spends all this money for special effects and actors, blah, we got to do all that because we want to be as huge as Marvel. I guess this can be traced all the way back to the Star Wars franchise, but still, it didn't need to be that. Now, I've nothing against the movie. It is what it is. It's a charming movie. The girls they got 4 really funny women to be in it and stuff, but the whole production was so overblown that of course it's going to have to be this mega hit to be considered successful. And that's rare. Even the Marvel movies, from what I can tell, are starting to down. I mean, that last Avengers movie, Age of Ultron, wow, to me, that was a horrible movie. Now you might be saying, Jeff, you're an old man. You're thinking like in the past. That's not the way things are anymore. Well, maybe they should be. You know what it is with me? The way I feel about it? Movies today, these big budget movies, have no heart. I really believe that. Ghostbusters had a heart. These new movies don't. They're just big corporate productions that are made to be huge $1 million franchise films. And the way I look at the Marvel Universe, they got extremely lucky with Robert Downey Jr. Because that first Iron Man movie, really set things off, and it was because of his charm that it worked. Without him, I don't think we would be where we are today. I mean, look at the Ben Affleck Superman Batman movie. Again, they did the same thing Ghostbusters did. They spent years in development. They spent billions of dollars putting this thing together. Okay, maybe not billions, but a lot of money, expecting to create a huge franchise. Boo! Today I want to talk about one of my favorite films, well they all are, the 1934 film The Thin Man. I can't say enough about this movie. It stars William Powell and Myrna Loy, who are perfectly matched together. The chemistry between these two is amazing. I love this movie so much that when I wrote my film The Devil Cat last year, I named the cat Myrna after Myrna Loy. And in fact, my film has a woman who's already dead when the film begins, and there's scenes where the main bad guy is looking at her picture. That's Myrna Loy. I actually used her as the dead wife. Anyway, so the movie's about William Powell plays a detective who's an alcoholic, and Myrna Loy's his wife, who's also an alcoholic. They drink a lot. In fact, when the movie begins, when we first meet the couple, he's already at the bar, being charming, drunk and charming. She shows up. At one point, she goes, "How many martinis have you had?" And he goes, "I've had 6. And it seems like she's going to criticize him for being that drunk. But then she looks at the waiter and says, "Waiter, line up 6 martinis right in front of me," as if she's going to catch up really quick. And then we cut to her being amazingly hungover the next morning. It's fantastic. I mean, the dialogue between these two. The dialogue was written, it was based on a novel by Dashiell Hammett, but the dialogue was written by an actual married couple, a screenwriting partnership of Albert Hackett and Frances Goodrich. And they wrote the first 2 Thin Man movies, which are the best out of the group. The later Thin Man movies sort of lose a bit of the charm. To show you how this movie was a low-budget movie made in about 2 weeks, and it was a surprise hit. It surprised everybody, and it was such a success that they made 5 more Thin Man movies, and then William Powell and Myrna Loy made 14 more films together. It's amazing. And apparently, the story goes, and I find this a pretty charming story, that W.S. Van Dyke, who was the director of the movie, wanted Myrna Loy to be the star. But the studio didn't want her. But he was because she was a dramatic actress at the time, and he was pretty convinced that she could carry off this type of comedy. But to test it, at a party one time, he purposely knocked her into a swimming pool to get her reaction. And he thought her reaction after she got out was exactly like the character Nora in the movie would have been. And so he fought with the executives at, I believe it's MGM, fought with them to get her to be the star of the movie, and she was, and it turned out fantastic. And also, this movie is pre-code Hollywood, which was pretty cool, which means they could get away with a bit more than they could just a couple years later. In fact, the amount of drinking in this movie, because they're always pretty much drunk, would have probably not been allowed 4 or 5 years down the road. And a couple of the lines are pretty risque for 1934. At one point, William Powell says, "He didn't come anywhere near my tabloids." And there's a scene where a bad guy breaks into their bedroom, and William Powell's forced to punch his wife to knock her out so she doesn't get shot. Blah, blah, blah. Cops show up. Cops are searching their bedroom. And at one point, Myrna Loy looks at one of the cops and says, "What's that man doing in my drawers?" Now, okay, this is not today. That would have been not even, you wouldn't even blink an eye at that type of dialogue today. But 1934, that was pretty risque, and actually the studio got complaints about the drinking and some of these lines. And I think they advised the director to cut them, even though they weren't cut, thank God. And then the Hays Code came in and ruined filmmaking a bit. But anyway, and now you might be saying, "Jeff, you like this movie because you're an old man." And granted, I am an old man, but this movie was made 30 years before I was born. So it was an old movie when I was born. Most of the movies I talk about in here were old movies when I was born. It has nothing to do with it. It's a funny, charming, just delightful movie that if you haven't seen it, then you're missing out on a lot. And anyway, it's Old Man Kelley here, another movie that I love that you should see. Before I go, I wanted to say something. We lost one of my heroes. It's been about 2 weeks now, week and a half since we lost him. Robert Osborne from Turner Classic Movies. I was watching Robert when he used to be part of the Movie Channel years and years ago, and he's been with part of Turner Classic Movies for it's over 20 years now. I mean, talk about a guy who was a fountain of knowledge when it came to movies. I mean, that was like his whole life. He just loved movies and movie history, and I can appreciate that as somebody who loves movie and movie history, but I'll never in a million years know what this guy knew. I mean, it was just, I think you could have mentioned any film at any time to him and he could have told you something that you don't know about that film. And the world is going to miss Robert Osborne, a one-of-a-kind person. And from everything I've read about him, from everybody who knew him, he was just a class act all around. No one didn't like Robert Osborne. So Robert, we're all gonna miss you. So anyway, seems like today's whole show was about film, huh? I appreciate you watching. For those of you following my poker tournament, my league I'm in 3rd place now. I've had 2 good weeks in a row, and I'll be playing again tomorrow, see how many points I get. And I'll let you know next week. Anyway, enjoy yourselves. Be safe, be happy, be crazy, be original, and I'll talk to you again next week. Bye.